Money FM 89.3, the best of Saturday mornings. Saturday morning sit down.
Welcome back to Saturday mornings right here at Money FM 89.3. I have recently been working with a remarkable group of students from the Singapore American School who have conceptualized, written, illustrated, produced, marketed, and distributed a book that is now available in stores across Singapore. It is a wonderful piece of work. It is called In Other Words. And joining us in the studio right now to talk all about it are two of the authors. We've got Salma Abou-oaf from the Singapore American School and Sebastian Street from the Singapore American School. Welcome to the studio, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We're very excited to be here.
All right, who wants to go first? Give us an overview of the book. What's it about?
Okay, so the AT Writing Workshop and Publication class at Singapore American School produced In Other Words. It is a book or an anthology that translates stories that translate the untranslatable. So us group of students who take the class decided each of us would choose a word across different languages, and we kind of decided on which word we would like to create a story upon, and each story kind of gives meaning to a piece about a word that people wouldn't understand. So we have a word from, I think, every single language.
Wow. And Sebastian, great to have you with us as well. What was your take on what the challenge was with taking one word and making an essay out of it?
Oh, well, it's a big challenge because you're trying to take a word from another language. It doesn't have a direct one-to-one translation, and you're trying to explore it and understand it even if you don't speak that language through writing a narrative, through writing a poem. And so that, I think, is the biggest challenge, is finding the right word and then exploring that word effectively and staying true to that word as you write your story or your poem or whatever literary piece the student writes.
Maybe each of you can, as an example, share the word that you use. Start with you, Salma, and how it inspired you to write your piece.
So I actually chose an Arabic word because I also wanted to bring some sort of culture into it. So I chose an Egyptian word called maktub, and it kind of means like everything is destined and written if I try and translate it. So my story was about a young weaver who always had been told that her destiny was to create pieces of art, but then there was a natural disaster that happened, and this took place in Egypt, and suddenly all her art kind of got destroyed, and she thought like this one had happened if like everything was truly destined. So it kind of put her in a place of questioning if like everything could be in one's control, and that's kind of what my story was about.
And you, Sebastian?
And my story was kind of a horror realistic fiction story about a schoolyard bullying incident gone wrong, and I wanted to have some sort of dissonance with the untranslatable word I chose, and so I went with yujin, a word in Japanese that most closely translates to describing the elusive beauty of the universe, so like a night sky filled with stars, or the sound of waves on a beach. So I wanted that contrast between the horror genre and the untranslatable word of yujin. I thought that was really interesting to play with.
No, we're talking with two Singapore American School student authors, Salma Abou-oaf and Sebastian Street, about a new book, an anthology of short stories called In Other Words, that has just been launched here in Singapore. And Neil, there were quite a number of students that were involved in this project. Take us through, because you worked with them, you shepherded them through this.
I believe this year it was a record number. It was more than 50 students. And as the guys beautifully illustrated, it can be very broad. It's an untranslatable word in any language at any time in that language's history.
Yeah.
So it can be very broad. But what united them, makes me so proud of all of them, is they brought in their personal experiences, their personal influences, their loves, their passions, their culture, their history, their family, whether it was fiction or non-fiction, prose or poetry, and then took those real-world experiences and put them into their work. But what I want to ask them, which impresses me even more, when you talk about real-life, workplace-ready skills, is how you workshop these pieces together. Because I've said, I've worked in the media for 30 years, so has Glenn. I've seen adults who do not communicate and share and take constructive criticism as well as you guys did. So talk us through the workshopping element of the process, Salma.
So I think having our workshop, so how this happened was you would have your piece written by a deadline and you would get a group where you would sit in a circle and kind of share your piece one by one. You would read it out loud so people would get your voice authentically as the author of the piece, and I think that kind of makes it really special. And then you would go in a circle, kind of talk about what you liked, and people would each share a priority question that they had, and each writer would kind of write down what their priority question was, and then you would get like the overall general feedback of your piece. And none of it was super harmful. It was actually really helpful as an author to kind of understand what people did get and didn't get out of your piece, because a lot of the time I feel I write for myself, but when I share my work with other people, there's things that maybe they didn't understand. And it was just an environment where you felt like you could really be yourself. People wanted to help you because this is a book that we wanted to create together as a team. So working together was a big part of it.
But how do you deal with that, Sebastian? Because even for me, I've written 32 books. I don't like it sometimes when editors ask me to change things. These are my babies. How did you feel? It's a very mature process to listen to people essentially dissect your work, and you have to put it back together. How did you feel about that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's hard to see people dissect your work and to hear them discuss the strengths and weaknesses of your work. But I think it all comes down to leaving, at least a little bit, but leaving your ego at the door, and coming in realizing that we're all working together to essentially synergize our efforts and create a 380-page book that we're selling to people. That we all want the highest quality product that we can. And so coming in with that understanding that all the feedback you're getting is to make your story better and in turn make the anthology better, is just an attitude you have to come in with.
Salma, I'd like to ask you, was it a challenge to not only come up with the word and explain the word and write your essay, but then to think about the marketing elements and the production elements of this? These are very, very different things that you have to do within the book itself. Was that hard to get your head around all those different things you had to do?
I mean, I think for us it was a bit hard at first. We kind of didn't know what it would take. We had no idea what it really meant to produce a book and what was the right way to do it, how we would put it on the market, how we would produce it. But we kind of divided ourselves into groups. So we did create like a marketing team, and we had a productions team, and then we had like an events planning team, which kind of like helped
They're
us.
18, Glenn.
So you learn the whole value chain
Yes,
of
exactly.
a book from start to finish.
Yeah.
From start to launch. Let's
Yes,
put it that
exactly.
way.
And then each group kind of focuses on what they need to do. So the marketing team found like, oh, how would we market this book? What would be the best way? And they focused on that. And the events planning team would focus on what events, how would we get our book out to people? What kind of events would attract people's attention? What do we want to do to celebrate? And then we would all work together, and I think everyone kind of got a glimpse of how much it takes to produce a book, because it might sound easy, but it's definitely not.
And Sebastian, what committee were you on? How did that work?
I was one of the project managers for the marketing publicity team.
Yeah.
So I worked with kind of what Salma said was marketing the book, which I think is of the production teams of editing, design, marketing, publicity, and events planning. That's the one that's the most nebulously defined team, because ultimately, how do we market a book, right, that 52 students have created? Who would want to read that book? How do we get it out to as many people as possible?
People don't want to buy books these days anyways,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Book sales are declining.
No matter who you are, even of course they want to buy Neil's books, but that's a whole other thing. But seriously, it's a real challenge in an era where people aren't really buying books.
Exactly. And I think that it's just figuring out who can we sell it to and what's the best way to get it into their hands, as well as giving it to different libraries.
Did you figure, your parents and your relatives are going to buy a copy, right? Hopefully, right? But, thinking beyond that, how did you position this book in a way that non-Singapore American school parents or students would be interested in it?
Well, we did that in a multitude of ways. One of the first is we're putting it on Kindle. So within a couple of days, it should be online as an ebook that anyone in the world can buy. I know in previous cohorts, they've gone like Joe from the United Kingdom has bought it, and some people. We also have outside of SAS sales, outside of our high school sales. For example, tomorrow from 10 to 1, we have students selling it at the Book Bar in Singapore on Duxton Road. So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Then it will continue to sell at the Book Bar without student representation.
I'll throw you both a curveball. Why did you bother? AI can do this. AI, I could punch those details into AI right now. Give me an anthology of short stories based on the experiences of international school students from all around the world. Why bother? AI can make that book. So I'm asking you, why bother?
Can it?
Well, I want you to answer that existential question. What is it that we've still got over AI, Salma?
I honestly do not think AI can do it because each story is really personal to each person. And as I was writing, like, I knew that my story had a lot of culture and background. And as much as I could try and put everything I knew about growing up in Egypt or the like true meaning of the word, nothing could come out of AI that could write like using the like authenticity that I had in my own piece. And because it really was from each person and super personal, AI cannot find the details and the inner like work and understanding of each work that each student had. So
Not even with some really good prompt engineering?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
I think if we look at if we look at what written works are, which is ultimately exploration of the human experience and the human soul, language learning models or like AI, like ChatGPT, if you asked it to create an anthology, it can replicate these experiences and these explorations by reading all of them, but ultimately it's not adding anything new to the pile. It's not adding any new commentary onto what the human experience is, it's not adding any new exploration into what the human soul is. And so while I think maybe it can do a decent job at replicating it, and it can eventually, as I think it gets better and better, it will continue to be able to replicate it, I feel that AI will never be able to replace human writers.
Oh, I couldn't have put it better. It doesn't add anything. It regurgitates. AI vomits. It's essentially a vomiting machine. But anyway, enough about AI. What skills have you learned from writing this book that you can take with you now to college and then future work, whatever it is you've planned? What do you take away from this?
One of the skills beyond the actual creative writing, which was the focus of the course, is like you said, being able to work with one another and to build consensus. What I appreciate about the course is that it forces writers who are usually solitary, writing is a very solitary activity, to work together, to work beyond the workshop and to get into teams to market the book, to organize the book launch, to edit the book and design the cover and put it into the correct formatting. And so I think that skill of collaboration with different artists is one that I'll take with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And you, Salma?
I think for me personally, I grew a lot as a writer myself. While I was able to work with other people through this course, I learned what writing kind of means to me. I always found that writing was a good way to express myself, and I really found that through this course. And through this book, I kind of put something that I never thought I would be able to share with other people into words, actually. And I kind of understood that writing is a way to communicate with people even when you can't do it directly yourself through speaking, and what it takes to produce a book is not easy, and I never really knew that. So this course kind of taught me that.
All right then, final word. Do our job for us. Do your marketing. Tell us about your book launch tomorrow.
We are at the Book Bar on Duxton Road from 10 to 1 p.m. If you want to swing by, we'll have students there selling the book. But otherwise, you can go on Amazon and search us up on Kindle, or hop by the Book Bar any other time.
The name of the book?
The book.
In other words, stories that translate the untranslatable.
There you
Be
go.
there.
All right.
Be there or be square.
Salma Abou-oaf and Sebastian Street, Singapore American School students, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for having
having
us.
us.
And thank you, Neil, for shepherding through the process.
My pleasure.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.